It's likely that when Pine Belt locals think of missing persons, the first name that crosses their mind is Angela Freeman. But this week we are highlighting a mother's agonizing grief as she pursues answers in the 2-decade-long search for her son. Alvin Woodrow Palmer Jr., affectionately called Brother by those who knew him, grew up in Perry County, Mississippi, just outside the small town of Richton, where he lived with his parents and worked for the family mechanic shop located at their home on Free Will Church Road. Richton, like many rural Mississippi towns, has a couple of stoplights, many churches, and everyone knows everyone's business. But it seems that nobody knows exactly what happened to Alvin Palmer Jr. on August the 20th, 2001. On the morning of August the 20th, 2001, Palmer left his parents' home with a friend named Kenny Shaw. In the early afternoon, the two men stopped here at what was a convenience store called Brewer Grocery. While at the store, Shaw stated that at some point Palmer got out of his vehicle and into a black or dark blue 1990s model Nissan or Pontiac Grand Am with fading paint. Palmer told Shaw he would be back shortly, but to this day, nearly 20 years later, he has never returned. Linda Palmer, Alvin Jr.'s mother, did everything that she could to keep her son's case in the media, pleading for answers or any information to bring closure to the case. On June the 12th, 2002, the Hattiesburg American published a letter written by Miss Palmer in which she said, "As you know, our son, Alvin Palmer Jr., has been missing for 10 months. We have heard all kinds of tales and rumors, but when they are questioned, it's hearsay. There are people who do know what happened to our son and where he is. If they just knew the agonizing pain and heartbreak that we are going through. We love him dearly, and the hurt never goes away. I've called everybody that I know, the FBI, Attorney General, and on down, but nobody wants to help. All we know is what Kenny Shaw told us the day he went missing. So he could have been kidnapped, I don't know. But I know this. He means as much to us as the missing ones you see on TV who get nationwide attention." The letter goes on to state that the family has a $5,000 reward that has not been enough for someone to come forward regarding her son's whereabouts. She pleaded for area businesses to make donations to the reward in hopes that it would bring answers needed to locate her son. Just a few months later, in October of 2002, the family announced that the reward for information leading to Alvin Palmer Jr. was now at $10,000. Former Perry County Sheriff Carlos Herring said that his department had investigated many rumors, but that they were still working on the case with a goal of solving Palmer's disappearance. In this article, now 14 months after the last sighting of Palmer, his mother said that the rumors and leads had begun to die down to just about nothing, and she implored anyone who knew anything to come forward as she needed relief. On the 18th anniversary of Palmer's disappearance, an article and story was released by a local news station to shed some light on a case that has stayed in the shadows for nearly 2 decades. Mrs. Palmer stated in her interview that her family no longer believes that Alvin is alive, but that she would love to have closure regarding her son's sudden disappearance. At the time of that publication, Perry County Sheriff Mitch Nobles said that he was confident that this cold case could be solved. He stated that as it pertained to the case, there had recently been information given that was actively being worked on at the time. Alvin Palmer Sr. passed away in January of 2012 without any answers regarding what may have happened to his only son. Alvin Woodrow Palmer Jr. is a white male. He is described as being 6 foot tall and weighing 165 pounds. He was last seen wearing black faded jeans and athletic shoes. He has brown hair and blue eyes. If Palmer Jr. is alive today, he would be 50 years old. As the days continue to begin and end with no new answers to this case, a Perry County family is left to wonder and worry about what could have happened to the man that they love so much. In just a couple of weeks, another day will begin and end, but that day will be a harsh reminder that 2 decades, 7,300 days, have come and gone with no answers. Another day that someone in Perry County has kept a secret that could answer many questions for a grieving mother. And another day that whoever is responsible for the disappearance of Alvin Palmer Jr. is living as a coward, hoping the next knock on the door isn't justice. If you or someone you know has information pertaining to the case of Alvin Palmer Jr., please do the right thing and call the Perry County Sheriff's Department at 601-964-8461. Or, to remain anonymous, call Crime Stoppers at 601-964-STOP. That's 601-964-STOP. Thank you for taking the time to watch this video. If you would like to see more stories of missing persons in Mississippi, please subscribe so you can be notified when we post another video.